Stupidity, disgrace, and just plain disrespect. BCCI's decision to sack Virat Kohli, one of the greatest white ball captains of all time, from ODI cricket is the worst decision they've taken in their history. Rival fans, Australian, English, and Pakistani fans must have been jumping with joy after hearing the news that Virat won't captain India in ODIs anymore. With a minimum of 20 ODIs as captain, Virat is the only player with an average of 70 plus as captain and is the only Indian with over a 70% win rate as captain. He is the first Indian captain to win a bilateral ODI series in New Zealand since 2008. He is the first Indian captain to win a bilateral series in Australia since 1985, and he is the first Indian captain to win an ODI series in South Africa ever. He also won a T20I series in every SANA country. He was also named captain of the ICC ODIs Team of the Year every year since 2016. I truly cannot think of a genuine or logical reason on why BCCI sacked him. I really just can't. It has to go down as one of the worst decisions in sporting history. What makes BCCI's decision awful is that Virat wanted to remain the Indian captain. One of the greatest leaders of all time wanted to remain captain of the Indian team, and they just let him go. Why? Because of a bunch of kids who haven't watched cricket for more than a few years spam social media with Rohit captaincy shouts. The media took notice of this and emphasized it in their networks to create more revenue for themselves. BCCI said that this decision was taken because they wanted to avoid any confusion that would occur with having two separate white ball captains. According to them, this group of world-class players who have the smartest cricketing minds in the world will get confused if they were captained by two different players in two separate formats. I call bullshit. And considering that India have had multiple white ball captains since the start of 2022 itself for a different series, such as Pant, Pandya, and Dhawan, it seems to me that BCCI don't truly think having multiple white ball captains is confusing at all. Now, people often talk about IPL, but IPL should never be the basis on who you select as your national captain. Ever. It's absurd. IPL is nothing more than a franchise T20 league made for profit-maximizing capitalists to make gains on. Every other T20 league in the world is also made for the same reason. Choosing the man to lead your country on the basis of a franchise money league should never be an option. Captaincy is all about how smart your cricket mind is, and IPL does not prove anything regarding cricket intelligence whatsoever. The most successful captain in the Big Bash League is Moises Henriques, with 30 wins and a 56% win rate. But have you ever heard an Australian cricket expert call for their current captains to be sacked for Henriques? No. Captaincy is much more than just basic field placements and bowler rotation. Yes, that's important, and Virat Kohli was excellent at that. But what's more important is the kind of culture you create within your team. Now, India were a pretty decent team before Kohli's leadership era, but now India is the team to beat. Everyone wants to beat India because India has become the best in the world under Kohli's era. The belief and mental strength to compete and win overseas and the ability to fight back from losing positions has never been seen before on a consistent basis in the Indian team like it has from 2015 onwards, which is when Kohli took over in tests. You can see it by the way he bats as well, the most genuine match winner the world has ever seen. His goal is to win the match at any cost, and we can see it in the way he leads the team. We all saw that in his captaincy debut as well, when he and the team decided to go for the win instead of a draw, chasing 350 odd on a fifth-day bowling-friendly pitch at the Adelaide Oval. No point in playing 5 days for a boring draw, he said after the match. He has a win-at-all-cost mentality. That's a culture he created, not only in Indian cricket, but world cricket as a whole. For example, Bazball is literally Virat Kohli's ideology, and he introduced it all those years ago. How a player bats or bowls usually determines how great of a captain they will be, especially in overseas test matches. If a player is extra eager to win, saves his team from collapses, and shows real positive intent, then it usually means they will be a good captain because captaincy is all about understanding and reading game situations. When a player does that flawlessly under pressure in tough conditions with the bat or ball, it means they can do that without the bat or ball while captaining the team on the field as well. People always talk about ICC events, but Kohli has only captained India in 2 ODI events and has reached the knockout stages in both the 2017 Champions Trophy and the 2019 World Cup. Had it not been for a few individual errors and individual moments, India could have won both events, and the captaincy discussion wouldn't even be a thing. Why should a captain be judged on a few moments he can't control? For example, had Bumrah not bowled that no-ball that got Fakhar Zaman out in the 2017 Champions Trophy final, India likely would have won that match, and the media would have been talking about how great of a captain Kohli was. Or if Nisham didn't take that blinder, or had Kohli's LBW decision been 2 centimeters different, or if Guptill didn't get that bullseye run out, then the World Cup 2019 semi-final result would have been different as well. The point here is to not play the what-if game. It's to emphasize on the fact that you can't judge a captain by individual moments in a singular match that he has no control over. Collectively, India were brilliant in both these tournaments, but fell short not because of captaincy issues, but because of factors that were not in the control of the captain. Let's take Kane Williamson as a leader, for example. His team fell short in the Cricket World Cup final in 2019 due to a weird-ass boundary count rule and some really poor umpiring. But instead of criticizing him, the media hailed him as a great leader despite not even qualifying for the Champions Trophy knockouts 2 years prior, or even bowing out in the semifinals in the 2016 World T20. Yes, Kane is an exceptional leader, but it's almost laughable to see how the media treats two different players so differently who are in similar situations. Now let's talk about the manner in which BCCI sacked Captain Kohli. Sourav Ganguly said that BCCI had asked Kohli not to step down from T20s, and Kohli countered that with saying that he was never asked to not leave T20 captaincy. So it's Kohli's word against Ganguly's word. But it would make more sense to trust Kohli's word, and here's why. First, prior to Kohli leaving T20 captaincy, there were reports from the Times of India that BCCI were heavily considering split captaincy. Second, Virat's childhood coach had come out and said that he hadn't heard anything about BCCI requesting Virat not to step down from T20 captaincy almost immediately after Ganguly made the statement. So Ganguly likely lied to the Indian public regarding this issue. Now let's talk about the reasons Ganguly gave in sacking Virat. The reasons he gave was that he requested Virat not to step down from the shortest format, and the selectors felt that they cannot have 2 white ball captains in 2 white ball formats. That's too much of leadership. The selectors felt that there would be confusion among the players if there were 2 white ball captains. So let's get this straight. The players who dedicate their whole life to the game, have the most intelligent cricket minds in the country, get paid millions to play the game and represent the country, would get too confused if India had 2 different captains in 2 separate formats. Do the selectors realize how idiotic that sounds? Especially considering it's very likely that if Kohli had known that giving up T20 captaincy meant giving up ODI captaincy, then he wouldn't have given up T20 captaincy, as he had made it clear that he was always eager to lead India in ODIs with the 2023 World Cup coming up. So this makes everything the BCCI have said about this entire issue lose its credibility due to the amount of contradictions and fallacies presented in their statements. Regarding Kohli's extremely high win percentage as ODI captain, Sourav Ganguly said this: "Yes, we did consider that, but if you look at Rohit's record in whatever ODIs he has captained for India, it's very good. Bottom line, there can't be 2 white ball captains." Now, let's dive a bit deeper into that statement. Prior to Rohit's full-time appointment, Rohit had captained India in 10 ODIs, and out of those, 6 had been played against Sri Lanka, Hong Kong, and Bangladesh. Out of the 10 games he's captained, he's won 8, but only 3 against the top nations, 2 versus Pakistan and 1 versus New Zealand. There was a reason Rohit was captain for those games, and the reason was that Virat Kohli took rest because the opposition India were playing against were not very strong. Also, India cut it way too close against teams like Hong Kong and Bangladesh under Rohit, as they gave him a late scare, which shouldn't be happening. Rohit had never played a single series as captain versus a strong team prior to Kohli's sacking. So why is Ganguly using Rohit's ODI captaincy record to justify sacking a captain with a 70% win rate with historic series wins in Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand? Virat had also said that he was informed that he is no longer the Indian captain only an hour and a half before the South Africa ODI series squad was announced. It was pretty casual, no meeting, no prior discussion, just a casual, "Hey, you're not captain anymore." Can you imagine that? Close your eyes and visualize it. You have poured your sweat and blood into making this team into the most dominant team in the world, grooming these players to be the best in the world, dedicating your entire life and energy to make this team feared across the world. And you find out that you no longer have that role through a casual, unexpected comment before a squad series announcement. It's just complete disrespect and stupidity by BCCI, and it's not the first time they have pulled shit like this. Also, according to multiple reports, it was made clear that it was actually Rohit who demanded captaincy of ODI cricket, deciding for himself that T20 wasn't enough. The fact that BCCI put up with that, let alone give him the captaincy, is pathetic. And before Rohit demands anything from anyone, he should first focus on his personal fitness and weight. I don't mean that in a malicious way, but when you look at Kohli's fitness versus Rohit's fitness, you'll see a massive difference. Fitness is another factor in terms of captaincy and leadership, because when you see a team captain, you want to see a role model. As we all know, Virat himself is the most fit cricketer in India, and one of the most fit sportsmen in the world. In fact, throughout his entire career, Virat has rarely missed any games due to injury, and the games he had missed is due to impact injury, which is not related to physical fitness. In his years in charge, Virat had emphasized the importance of players' fitness and making it a priority that his players are physically fit. Implementing the yo-yo test to make sure that his players are at a certain physical standard was important in the growth of Indian cricket in the last few years, as physical fitness often results to better gameplay and mental strength in sports. On the contrary, although fit enough to pass the yo-yo test, Rohit had not taken physical fitness as seriously, as his weight problems had been becoming more evident lately. In fact, the health team at BCCI stated that Rohit Sharma is clinically fit but must work on his endurance while in quarantine. A captain who takes physical fitness seriously is much more equipped to lead than one who doesn't. Rohit misses quite a few games, specifically overseas matches, due to injury. You can't have a captain missing so many games due to injuries and fitness issues. Another worry I have is that I'm not sure if Rohit has the emotional intelligence to become Indian captain. On multiple occasions, Rohit has been caught insulting his teammates unreasonably. When Rahul was not in the best of form, a meme page on Instagram posted a picture of calling him overrated, and Rohit Sharma, who wanted Rahul's spot as test opener, liked that post. Rahul is world class and is one of the best batsmen in the world, and if Rohit is out here liking pictures which calls his players overrated simply because he wants their spot in the 11, does he have the maturity to lead the country? Does he even deserve leadership at that point? He also liked a tweet which criticized the fact that Virat Kohli's wife was allowed to visit him in the stadium. If a player obviously has this much insecurity and jealousy in him, how can you trust him to lead the team? My biggest worry from this whole situation is how much is social media having an impact on BCCI decision making. It might sound ridiculous, but think about it. Mass herds of kids coming onto social media, spamming captaincy shouts for Rohit based on a T20 money league, and the mainstream media takes note of it and starts covering it. And BCCI may have taken influence from that media. Let's face it, anyone with a logical mind knows that Virat is the best man to lead this team going into the next few ICC events. But there is an old saying which goes, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. And those stupid people in large groups is the reason why Rohit is captain today. Kohli has a 70% win record, the most ever by an Indian captain, winning series in Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand, completely changing the culture of how India plays and views the sport, and making us the team to beat in the last few years. And sacking a captain who has done all of that is nothing short of plain stupidity and bias. And my guess is that Kohli stepped down from Test captaincy because he didn't feel respected by the board due to all of this, and he just wanted to focus on winning games for India with the bat instead of working with an incompetent board. No one wants this Indian team to succeed more than I want them to, and I sincerely hope we are able to win some ICC trophies in the coming years. However, we had a much greater chance of winning them under Kohli rather than Rohit. The 50-over World Cup being played at home is a huge plus for India, and hopefully we can take advantage of that, considering the last 3 World Cup winners have been the hosts. I would love to hear some views regarding this topic. The comments are open for debate.